Welcome to MPA Feedback Stream 28. I am the guild leader, and right now we have with us just Blaehubb. Radio might be joining us here in a second. How you
Yeah,
doing, Blay?
hello.
Hey. So this is the feedback stream we do every Friday. Is the plan, and where some members of the community will submit their tracks during the week. We'll take those submissions and we stream them live here on our feedback stream, and we give our feedback uh, so members can gain a new perspective on their music. If you'd like to submit, just look for the featured post in the Amino community each week. So next week would be feedback stream 29. We did have some technical issues. I'm sure some people noticed, and I'll let Blay go over what happened and what we're doing about it and what we have to
Yeah,
discuss.
yeah.
Um, yeah, go for it.
we've had we've had quite the adventure with our stream. So we took a longer break for two streams, basically 2 weeks, around Christmas and New Year's. Um, but then the first week in January that we were going to live stream again, actually on the day of the stream, we received a copyright claim on three of our streams, and YouTube was a manual claim. It wasn't one of the claims that sometimes happen when some of you guys submit or distribute your music to platforms. They offer YouTube Content ID, which stuff like CD Baby or DistroKid, they will then put ads on our streams for monetization. But this was a manual claim, a copyright claim. So they restricted our channel. Now the thing is, we always dispute these claims, the other ones, because we have the rights from all of you to stream this. So you don't have the right to put claims on our video because you've given us the permission to stream it. That's the two checkboxes in the second section of the submission form. That's why it's there. But what happened was that this was a manual claim which wanted to put restrictions on our channel, which just so happens to have been submitted by a used-to-be member of our community who probably got a bit upset that we had to remove him from the community. We're not going to name any names, but that's what happened. So we, of course, submitted a counter notice immediately. But what then happened was that YouTube took a bit of time to submit our counter notification to the claimant, which took a couple of days. And then the claimant had been given 10 days to react to that counter notification, which is because of legal stuff. But then YouTube basically forgot about this. So this is an automated process, I believe. So what ended up happening was the claim wasn't removed, even after the 10 days that they had been given to react. They would have had to have reacted with actual legal stuff. So they would have had to basically sue us through an actual court, which didn't happen, which is then why the claim should have been removed after these 10 days, which didn't happen for a month. So that's why we've been on quite a long break.
Right, we were just waiting, right? And you contacted
We
them through Twitter.
contact YouTube immediately, and basically because of probably a bug or a technical malfunction, it just didn't get through, and they didn't remove the claim in time. So, yeah, that's what happened. We actually nothing happened. They didn't respond to our mails, so we ended up I ended up contacting them on Twitter, and then it all was resolved within hours. So within hours, we got the channel back, and we posted the announcement the next day for this stream. So that was fun.
It really was like YouTube's fault, which is really weird.
In a way, yeah. I mean, the claim was kind of, yeah, I'm annoyed by that because YouTube's the way YouTube handles copyright, basically they hang you before they even hear you out. So, you know, uh, it's great for people who want to abuse the system, and in this case, it worked. This ex-member was able to abuse the system and basically ruin our streams. But anyway, it's resolved now.
Right, and this
Yeah,
is good. I mean, this is why there's a forum. It's more official, and this is
yeah,
also the reason why we're not going to be able to do live streams for all our events unless we make a forum for each
yeah,
one. This
yeah,
includes the mixtapes. That's why. I mean, I've contacted everyone that was waiting, but that's why the mixtape is not
yeah,
going up and everything and all that stuff. So
yeah.
we're gonna
That's
look for
exactly
ways
why
around that.
we, yeah, that's
Right.
exactly why we updated the forms with this second section after. I believe 2 streams or something, we updated the section because I knew something like this could eventually happen, and it actually did. So, yeah, we were in the right. We had all the stuff that we needed to legally play the music, and we still do. So, any of you thinking about that, don't do it. You're not going to get far. Yeah,
No, but I mean, we definitely excited to be back. We appreciate
yeah,
everyone that
absolutely.
submitted and was waiting for us to come back because
Yeah.
we do enjoy this. So,
Yeah, we missed this so much.
all right. So, how many submissions did we get today, Blue?
We've got 8 submissions, including one of my new pieces. Or, well, yeah, it's not really new, but yeah.
All right.
I'll
And
explain more after the thing.
do we know if Radium's going to join? Right.
I believe Radium is going to
Maybe.
join, just going to be a bit late.
All right. I'm going to do one quick announcement on what's going on. So, MPA Producer Battle 9, we're in the final rounds, So, I like that again, we weren't able to stream any of this, but it all happened through the blog and the community. And I know it's kind of hard to keep up with if you're not like checking in all the time, but it's the final round. So Jay Percy, SuperZrussell, Ski Line, and Minty Missment, the final round. So each round was based on that track alone that you submitted. So based on ratings from the judges. So I mean, so that's how it happened. Now, final round, round 4, we're using all 3 tracks that you've already submitted and averaging those together. And there is a little mechanism in the rules where you can submit a 4th track, but that's only if you think you don't want to just submit a 4th track on default. You want to submit a 4th track if you feel like it's the best track you've got and you just made it and you want to up your average because it's an average score between all your tracks. So it doesn't matter if you have 3 tracks or 4 tracks, it's gonna be an average. So for producers that, I mean, we didn't really post scores, so you don't really know. But if you have 3 strong tracks already and you don't really have something that's better than those 3, don't submit a 4th track. But if you feel like you just released something that's better and you have a better chance to up your score and win, you have the secret chance. I mean, it's a secret weapon kind of thing. Submit a 4th track. And we'll get those figured out. Deadline is Sunday on that. And then real quick, MPA lyric competition, Radium's doing. Let's get behind this here. And if you're a lyric writer, a lyricist at all, rapper, anything, MPA lyric competition 3 featured post in the community. All right, let's get into this. What do you say, Blake?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Our first submission, this has been unfamiliar now. I didn't do this in a while. So bear with me. Yeah. Our first submission, which is my submission, is Gear World Variations by me. I'll explain more about it after this. Have fun. All right, so that was Gear World Variations by me.
Nice.
All right, so should I? I guess I could explain a little bit about it, like people could with the notes that they send us, or should I
Hmm.
let you
Yeah, it
say your
does.
opinion
I mean,
first?
I'm curious. Gear World. I mean, it was nice. It was definitely a nice piece. And for those that don't know, that was played by hand, um, not
Yeah.
MIDI. I mean, uh, Gear World variation. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I think it was in 2016 that I composed Gear World, which is a piece actually for the string orchestra and piano. It's for piano with strings backing and stuff like that. Um, I so the original composition, you can find it on my YouTube channel. It's there somewhere. Um, there's also, that's more recent. There's also Gear World recorded at a concert by a clarinet choir. Uh, I think that was actually in 2020, but I think it was in 2020. Um, it must have been, yeah. What's sorry, I'm trying to figure this out now. No, yeah, I think it was in 2020. Um, early 2020 in January before Corona really happened, uh, or else I would have been a concert. Wow, this is
Right.
yeah. I need to
Unfortunate.
learn how to speak for a stream again. Anyway, so basically, I had to pick this piece back up and rearrange it so it could be played on clarinets, just clarinets. So clarinet choir is basically like an orchestra made up of all kinds of different clarinets. In case you don't know, there's many different types of clarinets. So not just the standard one that you like probably
B
know, which
flat.
is like a B flat, but there's
B
also
flat.
an E flat, and there's a bass clarinet and
A barrett
contrabass
with a
clarinet, and
bass. Yeah.
there's they just have all kinds of different shapes and sizes and
That was
materials
the
even.
instrument I played in school.
Yeah. So there's really a bunch of different colors you can get with those, and what I did was rearrange that piece into something for clarinet choir and a xylophone, a symphonic xylophone with more octaves than the smaller ones. But anyway, so during that, I was playing the piece again, which I did back then, but sort of forgot how to play it. And while that happened, I sort of started to come up with these other variations of it. And that slowly developed into its own sort of small piece over the last year, basically. And that's what this is. So this is Gear World Variations is variations of the Gear World theme or motive over this steady bass, you know,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word, beat. But it's yeah, I'm just completely reduced the notation and record it. So that's what I did. This is a test recording. I'm going to record it properly next week. I have to like properly tune the harpsichord and also practice a bit more and then do a proper recording. Yeah, I was rambling for way too long. I'm totally sorry.
No, it's cool. No, I really liked it. I wish there was more people here to give you, some more feedback and praise. But definitely, I mean, your talent shows through and through, and it's just really nice and really nice sounding harpsichord. Um,
It's a nice sounding
but
harpsichord, yeah.
yeah, I mean, especially when you know how to play it like that. So, I mean, good job. I mean, thanks for submitting it. What would you say though, um, like you're always giving feedback to our members
Yeah.
on regular. So, from your piece here and stuff, I know we don't make the same style of music, but um, in the sense of like telling a story, which it totally did, like, what do you think is a good takeaway everyone could take away from just kind of like
Hmm.
the way your piece is like written?
I think I think something that members could take away from this is probably the amount of variation in this top melody, because you always have the steady chromatic bass line moving down and the steady bass basically, which is really simple. But then again, I feel like, or I hope it doesn't really get like boring, because there's all these different changes happening, and interesting changes happening to the melody that's on top of everything. So I think one thing to take away is, even if you have a really simple and basic sort of bass line, as in bass line, not bass, but if your foundation is really simple, you can still have a lot of variety just with the melody, even if it's staying within sort of the same range and the same theme, because there's a lot of different things happening with that motive. And yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway probably for especially for sort of producers more like the electronic styles, because there's a lot of this steady and samey kind of stuff going on in the bass stuff and whatever, and like the same loops over and over, but you could still have variation on top of that with just different melodies. You know, if you have more variety.
You just got to be clever and creative. Yeah, the more talented you get at making music, of course, everything takes practice, especially, you know. Yeah. And the more you write songs, eventually you'll hear it. You'll know what Blae's talking about. Even if you make a style of music that's meant to be somewhat repetitive, there's so many ways to add variation to keep it from being a bad track. So even in repetitive music, there's bad music, of course. And usually it's because the repetitiveness is too obvious. And so it's about subtle variations. It's about harmonies. It's about things that still sound the same rhythm-wise, maybe, or something about it still adds that hypnotic thing, but there's variation there, so it doesn't sound like it's just some repetitive loop. Because as soon as any song that's too repetitive, as soon as you realize it's repetitive, it ruins the rest of the song, because that's all you can focus on. So anyways, I would agree totally that variation is key in all music. It's really important, and there's ways to do it even over simpler, shorter riffs, you know, repetitive riffs. There's ways to variation, and even if it's using filters and stuff like that, you just want to make sure the thing's changing and it's always new for the listener throughout the song. But, all right.
Yeah. I guess one thing that I want to change, just to mention it, is I don't like the low end in this recording. What I'm planning to do is add another microphone to the bass strings to have more to have it more full in the bass. Right. Just a quick mention. I thought of the negatives on this, and of course I was rushing bits and stuff. But
yeah, I know. I'm sorry, I didn't get. I mean, honestly, I noticed that too. It's lacking a little bit on the low end. See, but you already realized that. Yeah. I mean, if I was to say anything, it's just a recording. But you mentioned you're going to re-record it again. But
yeah, I mean, this was a test recording.
Right. Very nice.
All right. So, cool. Should we move on to our next submission? Our first official submission by a member in the year of 2021.
Oh yeah. Nice. That's crazy.
All right. It's February. This is sad.
I know. Anyway. It seems like it's definitely been longer than a month then, if it's the first one of 2021, because it's
it's been super long. It's been super long because of that stuff. Anyway, our first, or like, I guess second track, our first submission though, is going to be Omega by SuperZrussell. Was it Zrussell or SuperZrussell? I forgot. SuperZrussell. Yeah, I forget everything in like a month. Omega by SuperZrussell. Have fun. All right, so that was Omega by SuperZrussell. What did you think, Gil? SuperZrussell didn't leave us a message, so we're gonna have to just guess what this is all about.
I get the gist of it for the most part. No, I mean I'm a big fan of Super Z Russell. He releases a lot of music, really quick, and I think and the production is really good. I would almost there's some in certain when you release songs that fast, you do leave mistakes and problems. It's just one of those things. If you spend more time on anything, yeah, there's the truth spending too much time on something, but really that's hard to do when you know what you're doing. You can always spend a little bit more time on something if you know what you're doing and make it better. I'm not saying you should, because sometimes you should just move on, but there's 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 and when it comes to music or any kind of skill or whatever, when you give it go back and you work on it a little bit more and you give it another thought, there's things you could do to make it a little tighter and something. But so when you release music that fast, it's noticeable. This one's I'm not even really talking about this one. I'm talking about kind of a lot of your work that you've released lately, but some are stronger than others. This one's actually pretty strong. I like this one. I like it a lot. I still think I've heard uh uh better mixes by you, but as far as melody and like sound design and stuff, this is probably one of my favorites like that you've done. I really like just like the palette that you kind of had going on here. But again, I've just think that in this, especially in electronic music or releasing music so fast, like sometimes quality is more important than quantity, of course. And it's like I would really try to take, and I don't know exactly how Super Z's workflow is, or if you're working on like getting towards an album or something, or a body of work that you're going to present, or maybe a DJ set or something. But I would take the time to go back to all your tracks and really kind of keep them balanced as far as quality. Like, so when someone's going through your catalog, they like everything they hear for the most part. It's not like a drop off in this or a drop off in that. And it might be the mix, or it might be your melody, or it might be your sound design, but each one's like a little bit, you know, um, they have their strong points, but each track, I feel listening to your stuff as quick as you release it, that you can spend a little bit more time on it. But anyways, good job on this track. Great melody, really good sound design, or sound selection, however you want to look at it, or curators. If you're not designing your sounds, you're still curating the selection and putting them together. But really good job. I just think it could be a little more polished, a little warmer, a little thicker. Some of the super saws and that vocal synth, I love those style of vocal synths, but it was really too thin and scratchy, even though that's kind of the point of it. But it was just kind of like really mono thinned out and like kind of smushed in there. I think it could have come out a little bit more. But anyways, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Blake. What do you think?
All right, yeah. Um, yeah. I think you did a good job, and I can I think I agree. It's always interesting when you push out so much music, which I didn't really notice that much, but I was a bit inactive as of late in terms of checking the feed, unfortunately. So I probably missed a couple of things. But it's always interesting to sort of see what kind of workarounds people come up with to push out these products so fast, then if they have time restrictions. Um, and I think definitely you could polish a couple of things here and there, but I think what's lacking the most for me personally is that variation that we talked about at the end of my submission, um, because you have this looping foundation, and then I feel that you didn't really do all that much with any sort of melody. I wasn't really able to pick out something that I would really consider like actually like a melody. Like um, it felt like just one bar loops over and over again, and probably the bits you could consider a melody were more sort of hiding within the foundation. So I think that's definitely something you should work on. Aside from that, I'm not a big fan of the way a lot of the sound design goes in music production. I think people focus too much on that, and it's really manipulative because you sort of it's a good way to trick people into thinking that there's a lot going on when there's actually not. So it's just a bunch of different sounds, and I personally get quite annoyed by it if they're not used in like first of all, of course, a reasonable way, but also I feel I'd like it much more if they would do things that are rhythmically more interesting. In this case, in a lot of cases, it's often just down the beat or just some slight offbeat kind of thing. But there's never like really that much of an interesting rhythm going on either. So neither argument really works. It's just covering the foundation, which is fine. It's fine. It's just being covered in a bunch of stuff, and I don't totally get the appeal of that. I think it's more interesting to have a great foundation, work that up with melody, and then go into the sound design and add what really needs to be there and feels right. In this case, it was a bit messy, in my opinion. But yeah. Yeah.
I totally see what you're talking about. I mean, a lot of that I think is an argument against electronic in general, but really there's still a level of if y'all do what Blaze said, that's one of the best workflows. First, write the whole song on piano or guitar and really make a great song. Variations, changes, make sure it sounds great on a single instrument. You know what I mean? Like you play the bass with the left hand and you play the rhythm, you get a great foundation. And it can be played on any instrument, and then go into sound selection or sound design and really spin. Because the thing is, in electronic music, it is a lot about sound design. Because if you're not going to design sound, you're going to be messing with just sine waves and square waves, and no one wants to listen to that. So you've got to design the sound. But great sound design done after the song's already written is probably one of the best workflows you could go with. If you're already picking great sounds,
yeah,
and then trying to write the song with those great sounds, you really are you're covering up. People are hearing great sounds, so they tricked right away to think, oh, this is a great song, but they're not really, through and through. If you were to try to live that song on and like reinterpret it to other instruments and stuff, you'd realize, oh, this doesn't sound good on a piano for some reason. It's just missing too much. So
I think a good exercise for people could actually be to sing that melody that they have. Because I think you'll notice really quickly, actually, that it's boring. So my just like a small like story, I guess. So my dad is a teacher, music teacher. He teaches clarinet and saxophone, and his students, they often want to play music that is chart music, pop music, stuff like that. And the one thing they all realize pretty soon after picking up the piece, the song, because of course clarinet and saxophone, they're monophonic instruments. You can't play chords, so you play the melody. And what they all notice is, this is actually kind of boring because there isn't a lot going on. And I think that's a good exercise is, sing the parts of your track and sing them for the duration of the track, and you'll notice, oh, I'm just going da 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 da, and it's just on repeat. And then you'll notice, oh, this is kind of boring, and that's when you get bored, and that's when you slap on a bunch of sounds. But you could really have a much more interesting song with much less sound design stuff. I'm not saying sound design is unnecessary. I'm just saying it's covering up so much, and it'll still be boring in the end. At some point, it's just going to be annoying. So I think that's a good exercise. I think that's going to be a good exercise because people notice that, like students, like I don't know, like 14, 16-year-old students, they notice this. You can notice that too. So sing your song and try to sing it. If you can't sing it, oh, maybe you should write an actual melody that goes on for a bit longer than one bar. Sorry, a quick rant, I guess. That's the first rant of 2021.
Well, it's always interesting rant because I don't know if you noticed, but I defend both sides because, again, I'm not saying that I'm saying it's hard to make repetitive music sound so good. But the thing is, the reason why I defend both sides is because I'm saying is I can tell. I know you appreciate some good electronic music, but you don't listen to it in the same way people do in electronic world. And it's electronic dance music. And when you're dancing to music, it is very different than listening to an intelligent piece of music. It's about the bass, the flow, the feel, and if it makes you want to wobble or shake or shimmy, any kind of dance, it's a big part of it. And very repetitive loops can do that to you. They call it trancing you or hypnotizing you.
Sure.
The whole things are built around that. But the
But
reason why
yeah.
I'm on your side when I say that the best of the best make it really repetitive and cool, but they add those variations still. You might not realize it, but they're adding maybe not as much as you would like, Blay, but the best, and I'm not saying we are hearing any necessarily lately, but the best of the best, my favorite artists I listen to, Virtual Riot and guys like that out there, Dead Mouse and Skrillex and just the big names and all the stuff on Monster Cat. If you listen to their stuff, there's a lot going on, and that's why they got picked up by the label. You know what I mean? There's a reason why the best songs are the best songs. And yes, a lot of our producers are good producers, and SuperZrussell is a good producer, but there's a reason. There's still a gap between what we're hearing here today, or so far anyway, and what's actually the best of the best in those genres. And usually the best of the best, I think if you were to sit down and listen to him play, you'd be like, yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is good. This has variation. This is great. So I do defend both sides, but I just want to make sure people know it's okay to have a really one bar loop or something. But
yeah, if I could respond to that part you said about this being a dance music, not just intelligent music you listen to, sit back and listen. And analyze what's going on. What I want to say is, what I mean is, with my piece, you have this repetition in the lower end. You know, you have the repeating bass. It's the same bass line. It's just keep going. You know, you still have that. You still have this aspect that you can dance. You have the steady beat. You have the repetitiveness here and there. But the thing is, what I think. Here's the thing. If I imagine myself in a club or something where I never go, but if I imagine myself that, and I'm listening to a track like this, and I want to dance, and then the track goes, I'd lose interest to dance, and I probably couldn't dance anymore because it's weird. You have these like pauses and weird stuff. You know, I think it's the thing is if you just keep the tempo, you can dance. Listen to classical dance music. Listen to waltz. Listen to anything. And you'll hear you have these aspects. You have this steadiness. You have this. You have repeating its parts and sections. But now it gets interesting. If you have people dancing, with a lot of tracks like these. They just you dance and then you go to a different song. But imagine if the song sort of leads you through this dance. If things change around you and you change with it, I think that's a really exciting
Blaze gonna write some choreography
experience. No, I'm just saying that's a really exciting experience, and you're gonna have that if you make sure to have a sort of clear rhythmic structure for people, but then change the music around it. Oh, you could take people on like a whole journey in their dance. Actually. I think that's interesting, but people never explore it. Like, super rarely explore it.
I think there's definitely. I think that if music's going to evolve in the electronic scene, they definitely need to take it in that direction for sure.
Yeah, I just hope people would explore things more. Anyway,
yeah,
a lot of rambling. Radium is here, but Radium didn't.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Radium. I think we should move on to our next submission and then talk about it and stuff. Yeah. All right, it's going to be a long stream. Anyway, our next submission number 2, is going to be Broke the Sky Edit by Young Outsider. Have fun. All right. That was Broke the Sky edit by Young Outsider. Radium, we can hear you typing really kind of loudly. I'm going to read the note that Young Outsider left for us. The note goes as follows. This is a song I made back in 2017 that I recently made edits on. This was the first song that I was proud of. All right. So, what did you guys think? What did you think, Guild?
Yeah, I think you definitely did something a little different this time. Now, it's kind of, and it's neat to like kind of you did exactly what I was saying a second ago, to go back and edit your tracks and stuff. If you got something that's weaker, but it's still kind of a good idea, you go back into it and work on it again. Because I mean, you got this stuff on your hard drive. All us producers should be backing up our projects and really keeping them organized and treating them like it is our, that is our that's our product. Even if you're not gonna edit it anymore. But one of the cool things is you can go back and you can take old ideas and actually bring it and actually edit it and work on it and make it a little different, and maybe fix all the mistakes that you didn't realize you were doing the first time. But now on this track in particular, it's I always with Young Outsider, because I've pretty much remember all the stuff you've submitted to us since years ago when you first started submitting to us in our competitions and stuff like that, and until now. So I've really paid attention to your journey, like so many of you members, as I listen to your stuff every day on SoundCloud and stuff. It's really neat to follow y'all's journey. But so I can give you feedback based on where I think your level is of skills. So you say this is the first thing you're actually proud of. It's definitely something to be proud of, because it is, I think, your best work. But there's definitely a lot of problems here. You can tell it's a track of someone that's a novice or early in their stages of producing, figuring things out. And I say this all the time. So it's really easy to think your track's amazing when you did something you've never done before, because you're proud of yourself. You're like, this is cool. And you're remembering what you had to do and how you did it and how it worked out for the first time, whatever it might be. It could be the simplest thing. But then when you put it up to all the other producers that have been already doing that for years, you realize like, oh, wow, mine's still lacking in so many ways. I could say this is definitely guilty of the repetitive vibe, and the main synth thing was just it was really repetitive, but it's also the sound design was so basic that, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, you might finally got you a solid little like a saw synth thing going on, but when you compare it to other saw synths, you realize it's really just kind of, you're just too basic. It's not there's no lushness to it. There's no movement. There's no texture, evolving textures other than that filter opening. But I'll tell you what I do like about this. What I think, the reason why I think it's one of your best tracks, because and a good example of how sound design can really kind of pull you into enjoying the track is that weird, that the synth drum you were using. I don't know what those are called, but those are like the synth drums popular in the 80s and everything. That synth drum that you were using was really cool. I like that synth drum a lot, and you could really build the whole track around that idea. Now, you don't want to distract from that nice idea. You want to complement it, but there's nothing in the track that was really complementing that neat drum pattern, rhythm, and sound design. Everything else was just kind of getting in the way of it, but there still needed to be something there. It was just way too empty. But I love neat hypnotic trancey like sounds that just kind of sound really cool on your headphones, and they got an act rhythm, and that synth drum really did have something different. You just had the rest of the song needs to be built around it. You really need to move it and tell a story with the song. But definitely be proud of your work, knowing as you're getting better and better and better. And if you can go back to an old track and realize, oh, I was doing all this wrong, and just mute that stuff, delete the compressor, put a new one on or whatever, and kind of keep going back and taking your ideas and making them better and better, you'll eventually realize, okay, I'm gonna add a little shaker here, or I'm gonna take this melody and just add an extra note. As soon as you add an extra note, you realize like, oh wow, that sounded better than how repetitive it was. And you add another note. You just kind of move notes around a little bit in your MIDI, and you start realizing like, okay, it's actually not that hard to add a little variation here and there. So I would say you're in the right track. Just really watch a lot of YouTube videos and do some remakes if you can. I'm not one to do many remakes, but I do know they're a great way for you to actually kind of like get the idea of what a full track consists of, beginning to end, and all the elements and how they work with each other. So just watch some remix on YouTube or download some FLPs, or I just assume you're using Fruity Loops. My bad. Download some projects or whatever, and I don't know. So, what do you think, Blaine?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's really nice seeing the journey our members, all of you guys, are sort of going on, and like how you're changing and stuff. Um, since this is of course older, like you made it in 2017, I can definitely notice some things like um, things such as like what we mentioned, like repetitiveness and stuff like that. I don't know if I've really heard many current things from you. Actually, I think every time you submitted, it was something older. So I'd be interested to hear something more recent by you at some point. Um, I don't. That's the thing. I don't really know like what the edits sort of were. I think there's a couple of things you should definitely improve. I think you should work on the repetitiveness. Though I don't know how true to the original you want to stay if you want to have it so repetitive. And if you want to have it sound so empty, you could also leave the mix this way. But I don't know what the edit sort of is. But yeah, I think I would work definitely on the repetitiveness if you want to sort of, I don't know, if you want to publish it or something. I think you should work on that. I think you should work on mixing and mastering it. It's very, very loud. So pay attention to that. I had to turn it down quite a bit on the stream, or else it would have completely like messed with YouTube. Or YouTube would have messed with your track. But yeah. Yeah, pay attention to these things, and yeah, definitely. I think you should. I think you should. I know people never really do this, but I think a good resource would actually be these feedback streams. You can go back, and we have all the old streams saved on our YouTube channel. You can watch all the old streams and listen to other people's music and listen to our feedback there. If you sort of like go through those, I think you'll hear quite a few like really helpful tips by all of us. We had Retro on here, and Ski, and Sanded, and like Radium, of course, and Guild, all of us. I think all of us do occasionally deliver great tips. Before Radium kills me, Radium always delivers great tips. No, I think yeah, I think you should do that. I think you should do some research, look through the resources that we offer, because I think there's a lot there that you learn. Sort of because Guild has a great point about listening to music that you enjoy and sort of analyzing that. But I think you can also learn a lot by listening to other people who sort of make mistakes, and you can sort of listen to things that you don't like and avoid those mistakes yourself. But of course, this goes for your own stuff. So if you listen to this and listen really analytically and really critically, I think you can notice a bunch of things that you think, oh, maybe this isn't so nice. And if you heard it like somewhere, like if you went somewhere, I don't know how you usually listen to music, but if you went somewhere and you imagined your track there, maybe you think, maybe I want to change that, So I think you should do this sort of self-analysis, self-criticism. I think that's the number one thing you should do, always.
Right. It's nice to, I don't know. See, I was so different. That's what's weird, because I've been producing for like 10 years now. So, but what is funny about me is I was not the one to show my stuff, because I always knew it wasn't good. I always knew I was learning. So when I was at these different stages, I'm still learning today, but I'm just saying, I'm the type of person, and I'm not saying this is what you should do. It's neat that y'all show y'all stuff and put it out and publish it, but and I've seen people mention it in the community. They're real smart. They're like, well, I don't put my stuff on Spotify because it's not good enough. That's a really cool thing to say, because, I mean, at some point, maybe you are good enough and you should put it out there. But don't feel like you've published your song and that's as good as it could be. We're still learning. It takes time to learn how to use your program. It takes time to learn how to play an instrument. It takes time to get good. And if you're releasing stuff year one, don't expect people to be like, this is the best track I ever heard. This is awesome. You need to, I mean, I'm just talking generally now to everybody. It takes time. The best guitar players, the best musicians, they practice for years, and then all of a sudden you see them, they're like, whoa, you're so good. That is so impressive. That is so awesome. It takes years of practice. And people in electronic music, they think just because it's a computer program, they think it's like a video game that they can learn it really quick and get good at it. No, it takes time to get good. And so I think it's neat that y'all are releasing music early and sharing it even before like I would consider it presentable. But I mean, that's what
Yeah,
a
so
feedback stream's for.
embarrassing. I wouldn't share it.
No, I'm just saying that's me and my own insecurities that I listen to my tracks and I'm very critical of it. I'm like, okay, this is sounding really good, but if what would Virtual Riot think of this track? I know I'm using an example because I try to compete with the best when I come to my productions, and that's I think doesn't mean you don't release your stuff if it's not as good as the best, but you should be critiquing your own stuff like, okay, mine, I'm proud of my track. This is really good. This is awesome. I'm so happy with it. But why? And if I was to play this with all my favorite tracks, like why don't I like mine as best as I like all my favorite tracks? Some people maybe they're just that they do like their track that good, but I'm a very critical person of my own music, and I just made me think of that when Blay always says you should be critical of your music, and I just wonder is everybody able to? Is everybody capable to? Because I'm very critical of my music. I hear every problem, even people that don't think there's a problem. I hear every problem.
I think some people are, but I think it's actually it's probably hard to be self-critical. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Radium, I wanna hear your opinion, Radium. Radium.
Okay, the timing is great because I was just finishing my notes.
Nice.
And they are short.
Nice.
I'm gonna start by damn it. Okay, I'm gonna start by adding my opinion on the putting your work early. Don't be scared to put out the work that you have today, even if you know it's not up to par to what you want to hear in your head. Don't be scared to put it out because I noticed that people love seeing progressions. People love when they follow someone that they really care about. They love seeing that this person improve and evolved. Like they love saying, "Oh, OMG, I followed you like 7 years ago, and you're editing, you're this or that so much better." They like it, you know.
True.
Like people will understand that you're doing it again. So yeah, don't be scared of that. For my feedback. So I am in a very very nice mood at the moment, so I'm gonna be super nice today. I'm not sure what to make of your track because first of all, I don't know what kind of music you make in the first place. I don't think I hear your stuff often, so I can't really judge outside of what you wrote in the note and what I think from what I heard in this track. And honestly, I think the first mistake you made for this track was going back and edit it and not remake it. I think because it was your first track you were proud of 5 years ago, you probably let your previous feelings cloud you, your previous emotions of nostalgia, like, oh my God, it's my first track ever. I think you let that cloud you. So when you came back to edit it, I don't think you edited it the best you should have edited it. I feel like you just made small arrangements that doesn't really change your work. What would have been better to do is just remake the track completely. Just take the whole track you had 5 years ago, have it as your reference track, and using what you know today, 5 years later, like it's a big lapse of time. Take what you know today, 5 years later, and make a new track. Because this track right now, I'm gonna be super blunt, it's not good. It's very repetitive, but it manages to be so random. The arrangement is very random. The sound design is random. It really feels, as the other said, the first track you make when you first buy your FL Studio, your Ableton or whatever. Like it has the vibe of the first track, and even 5 years later, as you said, you changed and edited it. It hasn't changed. So
yeah,
I feel like what would have been so much better was just remake the track completely. So
keep those synth drums. I mean, resample those synth drums. I mean, if there's a cool idea in there, keep the cool idea. But yeah, remake it. You'll find.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Change the saw sound too because it's super irritating.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, change it up. Yeah.
Basically, analyze and keep the essence of what you like about it, but change the rest. Change the stuff that doesn't work. Even if you. But I think Radium's got a great point with your impression of yourself of the track being clouded, and I think that's sort of what we talk about when we talk about self-criticism. I think that's something that's hard to do for many people, and it's hard to do with stuff like this.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it all the time too. Go ahead, Radio. Sorry.
I'm guilty of being too critical, but I live.
Now, there's got to be a balance there, but I like you're totally right about that psychology thing. But you can really fall in love with your track or really be proud of something that sounded good as soon as you did it, and then kind of cloud your vision of what others are going to hear.
That's why.
But anyways,
people bought tickets for Lion King remake.
I watched it the other day. I was like, oh, I don't know why they do this. Anyways,
just watch the original.
I know the original's
Just watch all of Disney's originals. Fuck the live ones.
Yeah.
Live.
It's not live action. It's live action like nothing. They didn't film actual lions talking. What the hell? Anyway, it's not live action.
I was fooled.
I mean, it was Beyonce.
We started criticizing Disney. All right.
What? Beyonce isn't a lion? I'm disappointed.
Queen Bee was on it, so we had to support.
Right.
All right. Our next submission. Oh, what the hell just happened?
Thanks for submitting, Young. Were you done, Radio? I'm sorry. Were you done, Radio?
Yes, I'm done.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, Young Outsider said next time he's going to submit a new song. He also said he was able to, which very cool, very cool. Sorry for assuming people use FL Studio. Very cool. Excited to hear your next song. You can ask me advice too. I don't mind when y'all private message me and ask me like, yo, dude, give me some advice before I share this live or whatever. I'll tell you what I think. Sometimes it might take me a couple days to get back to you, but I will. And if you catch me on Discord on a day off, I don't mind showing off my projects and stuff. So y'all just message me if you're really curious. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. Just message me and say, what do you mean? Like, I could be better, like, or whatever. If you're just not getting what I'm saying, I don't mind doing examples and stuff. So just message me. Cool. Let's move on.
Yes. All right. Our next submission is going to be Journey by Kitsune Power. Have fun.
Trinidad.
All right. So that was Our Journey by Kitsune Power. All right. Kitsune didn't leave us a message either. So we're just going to go right into the feedback. What did you guys think? What did you think, Geld?
Cool. Okay, so yeah, I like this one. For one of your tracks, KP, you definitely have a style that you go for. You're a fan of, which you definitely, if that's your style, pursue it. Of course. Now, I would say though, in any genre, when you're just going to become like, I'm going to stick to this one genre, you like we said so many times, you want to explore that genre to the point where you're trying things. You're at least trying to make something that no one's heard before. So there's two like levels. I think when people are making music. This was definitely and you got the point across in this track. You know what I mean? But it was just very predictable in a sense. Like we knew what genre it was right away, of course, but then like we knew how it was gonna unfold based on kind of what came before it. Not just your tracks, but everyone's tracks in the genre itself. Been there. Everyone, like, certain things have been done. So things in electronic music, unfortunately, get dated a lot quicker than they did in rock or rap and stuff like that. In electronic music, things get dated really quick, and sometimes it is sound design, or tricks, new tricks, new things that a DJ has to pick up on and start doing. Then every producer start doing it or whatever, and then finally it gets played out. Another producer will come up with this new sound. Like I've been doing this with my filters and running it through this, using Serum and use this for a thing. And everyone's like, that's so cool sounding. I've never heard that before. And then everyone picks up on it and everyone starts doing it and adapts. I would say this doesn't have anything that's like in it that's like new and exciting or even following the trends necessarily of what I've been paying attention to in 2021 and 2020. It's little old school, but it was still nicely done if you're going to put it back in that, in that time period. It's just a couple years ago, but things already it moves so quick in electronic music. I would also say some of your sounds maybe could have been thicker, and not thicker as in like, I just think proper layering, stereo imaging with some nice secret layers that still sounds like one sound. The trick with layering up sounds is you're still supposed to sound like one sound. Like you don't want to hear the separate layers necessarily. The layers are supposed to fill in the gaps the other layers are not doing. So if you got a synth that's really mono and kind of like mid-ranged, you put some synths out on the side that are thinner and little higher frequencies, and then you put maybe a shorter bass synth right down below, just doing the bass note only, and it's shorter and more, and you maybe sneak some horn stabs in there. You layer it up or whatever, and that's what makes a proper layer. But it still sounds like one full thick sound. And to someone that was inexperienced, I think that was just one sound. But I think some of your songs and some of your sounds could have been a little fuller. I don't know how to accomplish that your way, but that's how I would have done it. Now, pretty cool track. I like the journey of it for the most part. It's just too predictable. Like I feel like I saw the end before it got to the end. But I don't know. We talk a lot about storytelling in the music here, mainly because of Blae, but I definitely side with Blay on it with you on a lot of that stuff. That you really got to make the listener like kind of like curious how it's almost like a movie. It's like they stick around because they want to see how the song's going to end. And even songs I hear on the radio all the time, I skip sometimes because they already could guess how they're going to end. So you're not the only one
music is
guilty
a
of it.
storytelling medium.
Right. You want to keep the listener engaged, and you want to lead them into thinking that you're about to do something in your song that's never been heard before. So it's general advice for everybody. But good job, KP. I really I think this is one of your better ones for sure. All right, I'll pass it to you to play.
All right, yeah. Yeah, I think it's apparent that you really tried hard with this one, and like with the recent ones. I mean, it's been a while since we heard stuff by you, not only because of the stream delay, of course, but yeah, I think it's apparent that you really tried hard with this one. I think it's great that you sort of, keep sort of proving, the point you're at, the quality you're at. I think though definitely, and I think Guild said a lot of key elements already, and that is the predictiveness of it. And so I felt that there wasn't that much of a journey. Like if you know the end, it's not really a journey. It's a small step you take, but you didn't really experience that much. That's how I feel with that. It is like in its core form, of course, super basic. And like we talked about variation with melody and stuff earlier. And of course, when talking about it like that, when talking about it like that, you can take people on a kind of journey, You're already upset. I didn't say anything yet. Oh dear. When you take people on a musical journey, you can, of course, show the smaller scope of things. But I think especially with stuff like this, where you're actually trying to capture like a grander, a grander journey or adventure, stuff like that. I think you should really do way more with that. So we talked about variation, and I think the variation here, I'm gonna commend you for that. You've got a bit more variation in this. We got more variation in the melody than some of the other things we've heard today. So that's actually quite nice. Yet if you look at this on a larger scale, and I'm going to do that because you are very self-confident about this music, about yourself, about the music. So I think it's fair to pull you back down to ground level, to pull you back down to earth and tell you maybe you've not reached the peak you think you have. And I think that is when it's time to sort of look at what really is this and how does it compare to things that are out there. And I do something. I listen to submissions sometimes beforehand to sort of get the levels right and get an idea of what's going on. And I actually started doing it together with Miro. So and we got to talking about this stuff. And what I ended up saying to him, did it today again, I said, I don't really know what to tell these people because the goal they're trying to reach, the bar is so low, I can't actually criticize the stuff they're making. Yet when I listen to this stuff, I feel like even the stuff that's, high up in the charts and stuff, and I think, yeah, all right. Even then, I think there's still so much to achieve even there in terms of quality, even if it's just so basic and stuff. And if there's stuff just as simple as that, of course. But I really think and I really hope, especially in like small scale producers like this, you're not making a product, you're not selling a product, you're not marketing your music to some pop star, it's marketing. It's all just marketing. Like the charts are not about music. They're about selling a product. They're about selling the image of a person. It's not about the music. So to me, this is not a goal for a musician to reach. This is a goal for someone who wants to make a lot of money, which they're probably not going to reach because they're not within the inner circle of this industry. It's really tough getting in there, penetrating in there, because it is a really tight inner circle. If you get in there from the outside, it's sheer luck and has nothing to do with quality. Absolutely nothing. So I think this is maybe not the best goal for most people, actually. So I always hope for people to push beyond that and actually look for quality in music and not in apparent quality by numbers, because numbers never tell the full story. Not in the case of this, at least. So what I'm suggesting to you, because I get a sense that you are stuck somewhere where there's not really anywhere to go. Do more. Look beyond the goals you've set, because honestly, I think you've reached them, but you've hit peak with that number one issue, which is almost no one gets into this industry because it is not about the quality of music. It is not about you. It's about selling a product. And you don't have that because you're not Sony. You're not Universal. You're not whatever. I'm not saying to ditch your dreams or whatever and like, oh, you can make it, but, that's part of the marketing scheme. I hate saying stuff like they and them, whatever. But this industry, the whole marketing, a big part of this marketing is to say, oh, you can be a musician like us too. Yet it is not about that. So really what I see is people are getting lost, and it's sad. It's disappointing because you could do more. And that is a great opportunity for small scale producers who are not trapped within this sort of realm of industrialized product and stuff like that. You can do so much more because you are not bound to these contracts. Please do more. Please look beyond. Please look beyond these low bar kind of goals, because really you're losing yourself. All of you, look beyond what you think is the peak. It is not defined by numbers.
No, I mean you can take that's a podcast worthy topic. Hey, I mean no one should ever give up on their dreams, and he's not saying that. He's saying
No, I'm not saying that.
the reality of targets. And I mean, good recommendation by me is I think everyone needs to learn how to play out live. Musicians, you need. I mean, all the way through and through. I mean, both music, the people that are winning in the game, even if they're small scale producers, they're still performing to their local audiences, or maybe it's an internet scene. And those are great goals. Those are great ways to make your music tangible. You're not you're not trying to compete with like what Blae's calling the pop, like the pop, like the product, the image, the whole publicity stunt kind of image, the whole thing. Those are the top pop charts. They are similar to that. In electronic music, it's a little different. Everyone needs to know their target. In electronic music, you should be writing for DJs to play your songs in the clubs, and you should be pitching to DJs. And if you're trying to get your song on a record label, you need to be pitching it to the record label. Record labels in electronic music, they'll pick up just your song. You don't need to be signed as an artist. They'll release just your song to make money off of it. So if you write something that's really good, submit it to labels. Labels will pick it up if it's really good. It's got to be good. If it's good, a label will pick it up and release it. They might not sign you. They're only going to sign you if you've got a full-on performance. You can go on tour. You got an image, and they think you're marketable. If you don't got any of that, and you're just in your room making music and whatever, and you just got a good song, you can sync license it to movies and commercials, car commercials or whatever. You can sell it to YouTubers, and they could use it on the beginning of a YouTube video. You can, if you really want to compete with Martin Garrix and stuff like that, you need to pitch your stuff to DJs, and DJs will play it in their set if it's good. So there's always a target, but if you're aiming to compete with, I just kind of echoing kind of what Blaze said, but I'm not really even targeting you, KP, or anyone necessarily in our group. It's more like the reality of the fact that it really is an inner circle kind of thing going on there. It really is kind of a if you know the right person. The only other way around that, and there is a truth to this, if you change music, if you are, and I'm going to use Skrillex as the example, if you write music that is just game changer, that crowd will pay attention to you and they'll bring you into the inner circle. But that's a really, 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 really hard thing to do. And I strive to do that myself, and I think everyone should, but don't feel bad if you can't reach it or you never do.
If you want to bring that kind of change, you're going up against millions worth of industry.
Right.
They're strong as F. It's almost impossible, and the industry has only strengthened. It's gotten worse. So it's sad.
Yeah. So I would just say focus on a community kind of like you do. That's kind of neat that y'all can focus on. Like, I'm gonna make music, and at least MPA hear it, or I'm gonna make some music and win this competition. You know, you've got a purpose. You're doing it for the competition. You're doing it for feedback, or you're doing it to show your best friends, or you're doing it to play at a local club, or maybe you're building up a set and you want to go on tour and you do want to get picked up by labels. But you got to have a goal like that in mind. Just listen to a great podcast. I'll just move this on real quick. But I just listened to a great podcast with interviewing a guy from dang it, forgetting the name, but it's irrelevant. But that's what he said. Is like he got nominated for a Grammy, and this guy's been producing. Everyone knows who he is. Dang it. Anyways, he's been producing for years. Super famous for an electronic scene. He released a fun ambient album for fun. Did not even think at all that it was going to do anything, and he got nominated for a Grammy or whatever that award that you get for that stuff, for being a game changer in the scene and everything. So it's when you take your focus off that and you just do it for fun, and you do it for different reasons, when you're going to write your best work, I think. So anyways, Radio.
Hello.
Hi. What do you
I
think?
have no idea what you guys were talking about. I was on Twitter.
Oh boy.
So my very short feedback. There were good ideas, especially at the beginning of the track, but unfortunately it went the classic route of their EDM that's very meh. It's a basic track, like there's so many out there. And I'm not saying that it sucks and you should trash it and become a plumber. I'm just saying the whole track is classic club EDM. It's forgettable and predictable. Like in an album, that's the filler track. It's not amazing. However, I hear your improvement and it's impressive with every track, but you don't improve creatively, and that's going to be a setback in the future.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That's it.
Yeah, improve creatively too. So you get better at sound design, you get better at mixing, get better at mastering, which I spend so much of my time focused on. But it's really important that you think of new ideas, which is what Blaze always talking about. And a great way to do that is to listen to other genres. You'll hear something cool in a genre you've never listened to and been like, wow, that's just such a weird idea. I bet I could do something like that in my genre. And when you do, others will think that they're like, wow, that's a cool idea. So, and yeah, evolve creatively, everybody. I think we should, if everybody's done, I think we should move to the next.
Yeah.
For the time. Yeah.
All right. Our next submission is going to be Symphony of the Abandoned by Riba. Have fun. All right, so that was Symphony of the Abandoned by Riba. Riba did leave us a message. Yay! So I'm going to read that now. So here's Riba's message to us. I've been working on this one for about 4 months, and I'm still not quite happy with the result. I hope you guys could help me buy some. Sorry, I hope you guys could help me buy some useful tips, even if it's just a small detail. Riba. All right. So, sorry, I get struggling to read that. That didn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, so yeah, what did you guys think? What did you think, Geld?
So I'm a fan of this style. Now I don't. In the style, there's like a variance of how metallic the bass sounds are, and this was like very metallic sounding, which I seem to lend little towards more to like the future bass styles of the hybrid styles of it, where it's a little smoother sounds or whatever. But that being said, I do know like a lot of DJs that are spinning this kind of stuff. They like that really harsh metallic sound. But I think yours might have been a little thin. I don't know. I think maybe it's missing some mid range somewhere in there. I was trying to make sure it wasn't just the volume I had it at or the YouTube quality or whatever. But it still seems like whether it was the sub to cut off too much of the highs of the sub, or is too much, or the other way, probably the other way around. There's too much cut off of the the top end of the bass. And there's just a big gap in the mid-range frequencies somewhere. And to me, that seems like it would have made it sound fuller. You could solve that with another layer. It doesn't even have to be a layer of that sound. It could just be another instrument playing a counter melody, adding a melody or something to it, where it fills in those frequencies. So then when it goes over to the bass, the bass will be like chopping up to the high frequencies, and then you go back down to more of the mid frequencies with like a SuperZrussell or something, or horns or something like that. You could have balanced it out. A plugin I'm a fan of, but it's expensive or whatever. It's tonal balance control or things like that. I didn't even buy it. I just really understand what it does, and I've tried the demo, and I was like, okay, I really like tonal balance control. But what I use is SPAN, the analyzer. Yeah, it doesn't do the same thing as tonal balance control, but you get a really good idea, and you should not mix with your eyes. I'm not saying mix with your eyes, but if you use a good analyzer, you'll notice things. You're like, okay, why does my track look so weird right here? Why is this big hump on my track? And it's just like a weird spot. And you have to analyze other tracks first, so you listen to a whole bunch of music and you analyze it with an analyzer. And I'm really just talking about for mixing purposes. And you'll recognize EQ curves on the analyzer that are really common. And it's not a rule book that you have to follow that, but you'll realize there's a reason why they all end up that way. It's like the smiley face that sounds good in the car. There's a reason why over the years and years and years of music production, people start mixing a certain way, and you really don't realize it at first. You get so clouded by your speakers or your own headphones or your mix and listening to it over, you don't know what your mix actually sounds like. So in comparison to other tracks, your bass might be a little thin or a little scratchy or a little narrow or whatever. But the main thing is that curve, the where your sub is sitting in relation to the highest frequencies in your track. And a lot of that, if y'all are having problems with the loudness things and the left meters and everything, a lot of that's going to be solved if you mix properly like this. Because everything takes up space in the mix. So you really want to get a little more analytical with your mixes. I know there's arguments always on the other side against how far you take that, but you do want to analyze your music. I'm talking about look at the meters, the dBs, the frequencies, the just the heat maps. Just really look at what your tracks are doing, and you don't have to compare it to everybody, but you can keep getting an idea of like what your favorite tracks are doing compared to your worst tracks and stuff like that. What you did right once, but you can't seem to do it again or whatever. So I really like this track. I just think that the mix, and not just the mix, the sound design mixed with the mix, like the track is good, actually. It's a really good track. But if you were to put it up against the other people in this genre, you know that like in a DJ mix and you mix over to yours from theirs, someone actually paying attention is going to notice a drop in overall, kind of like it's going to be muddy, it's going to be more muddy, and then it's going to be too thin certain places, and it's going to be too scratchy certain places. It's going to be different. So, I mean, without pinpointing exactly how you need to go fix this, I would, other than just saying maybe the bass was a little too metallic and scratchy and thin, you need to somehow warm it up. I would say just give it a second thought, like mix it again, and use some reference tracks and rhythm reference tracks. Kind of get an idea of like just A B back and forth, A B back and forth. You're like, okay, I'm not trying to copy, but why am sometimes you're doing the right thing when you're getting there, when all of a sudden you switch to yours and you like yours better than the thing. You're like, oh yeah, I like mine. Just you'll get to that point when you A B tracks and you eventually get so good at your tracks and you actually are becoming a good producer. You'll A B your track and you'll be like, you know what, might not sound the same, but I like mine. It's still good. It still holds its own. But if you don't feel that way, then there's something you need to take it back to the drawing board. You need to go back and realize, like, why is yours not mixing properly? Anyways, I'll pass it over to Blae. What do you think, Blae?
All right, yeah. Yeah, so this is just a heads up. This is a style of music I don't really enjoy that much. I think I've heard something like this before that I did sort of like. But to me, there isn't too much that I enjoy in this sort of music. So nothing against you, nothing against this sort of music, just, personal preference. I think, yeah, I'm not gonna really comment on anything. In my opinion, a lot of things could have been changed. I think stuff like this is more interesting if you pair it with other stuff. Now, I don't really know why it's called Symphony. I think it might be because it had some orchestral sounds in there. And I get the idea of that. A lot of music like that does that sometimes to sort of stand out a bit. Also something I see often, there's a lot of like metal bands that do that too, where they'll arrange things with like a bigger string section or something like that. Make use of more classical sound for effect, I think that's nice, but also really cliched in many cases. So I think this with an actual like arrangement in like an orchestral style, maybe more in the symphonic form even, that would have been really interesting. Just unfortunate that didn't happen, but just an idea, maybe something you could do. I don't know if you could, but maybe something to play with and experiment and sort of get to do that at some point, because it could be interesting. You could do one of these game changers we talked about earlier, but it would be really experimental for that genre, I guess. So yeah, I think the only like real tip I could give you is, please work on the mix, please work on the master. It's way too loud. It's way too loud. We were listening to about 17% of the total volume this track had. It would have completely destroyed the YouTube stream. So always pay attention to that. Like, especially as digital producers, musicians in the digital age, producers in the digital age, working with this stuff. It's always been important, recording tech and knowing about mastering standards and knowing how the mechanics of speakers work and stuff like that. It's so important to know these things, especially as an electronic producer, especially when you work with these kind of things. You need to know how meters work, what they display, which other meters you need to get and pay attention to, and which other measuring standards you need to pay attention to. Because it's so easy to make something nice, but completely ruin it by making it impossible for any professional to pick it up. If you want to stream this is not going to be on a radio probably, or like some niche radio probably.
Well,
it could be,
lower it.
But they're not. That doesn't really happen, Gil. You need to know these things. Like, this is down to the core of your track, to the core of your mixing and mastering. This is stuff that can often not be changed if it's embedded. If you give this to someone who's mastering, they would reject it immediately and wouldn't do it because they don't have enough headroom to work with this. It wouldn't work. It simply wouldn't work. So pay attention to that, read how it works. You need to have this knowledge. This is not music theory. This is about the technology that you're using. Not digital, but actual physical technology. You could damage people's speakers. You could damage people's hearing. Don't do it. This could even be dangerous to people's physical health. Pay attention to this stuff. Read up on it. The resources are out there. Read about mastering standards. Read about metering the stuff properly, because this can really screw you over.
Right, totally. I know electronic world, I mean, I'd just like to tell y'all, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, especially when someone's going to listen to the raw version of it without being turned down automatically. But Spotify is going to turn down to like -14. And a lot of
it's gonna sound
be
like trash. They're gonna have
right.
compressors
It's gonna
on that
sound bad.
shit. Yeah, they're gonna mess with your compression and everything. It's gonna sound like trash, like absolute garbage.
So there's tricks to. I mean, won't get all into it right now, but in the electronic world, they still recommend not any person, but a lot of the guys that we listen to that are producing your favorite music, they're all mastering around -9, and they know that it's getting pushed down to -14. They know it. But they still are mixing so well, mixing so well where there's no clashing frequencies, and they're not going past that negative.
Yeah.
They're not going to keep
You
pushing
need
it
to
to
mix
negative.
for these platforms. Only then you have control, and only then it will sound good.
Right. Exactly. All right. And yeah, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there for y'all to watch, and definitely get Ulean meters, LUF meters, the one I use.
Yeah, there's
free.
Ulean loudness meter, which is pretty good.
It's gonna show you like
there's
LUF
a free
over
version.
the
It shows you a LUF 3.4 R128, I believe, EBU R128, which is one of the major mastering standards, which has been adopted by most broadcasting, both TV and radio. So yeah, read up about that. You'll be surprised how much you need to change.
Right, and it's neat to check out your music like that and then see what you can do to fix it, because it's just I don't know. I love being in my little studio, and I like to have a task. You know what I mean? I don't like to just go. I'm not the type of person to go in my studio and sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to make a song out of thin air. I like to go in with a task, like, okay, I'm going to go in and fix the bass on this song. I'm going to go in and fix the loudness on my song. I'm going to go in and figure out how to work this meter. Go in your studio and really learn something and have a task and come out like, did I accomplish my goal today? And so you can just wake up one day and say, today I'm going to learn. I'm just going to focus all on like reading these meters, like the LUF or whatever it is called, and just figure it out. Watch some YouTube videos and just experiment. I mean, you'll learn your own little tips to give people. But, okay, Radium or Blay, who's next? Oh, Radium.
Yeah, Radium.
You know what? My feedback is going to be super short. I like the track. It's not a style that I even knew about before, but it was fun listening to. The sound design, I liked it. I liked that there were very many changes in the song, from the sound design, the elements, the arrangement. So yeah, I liked it. Will I listen to it again? No, but I liked it.
Nice.
The end.
Radium got some good news today. I didn't know if she was going to share it with us. That's why she's in such a good mood. I'll let you share if you want. Anyways, congratulations again, by the way, Radium. Okay, so yeah, I like the track too. I thought the little choir thing in there, I forgot to mention, but they had a little choir thing. It was like a really short little choir stab. It really added to like kind of the mood and everything. So good job. Nice artwork.
Choir stab.
I think you told me you got this artwork done. Choir stab it was. That's what they call it in electronic music. I think you told me you got this artwork from was it you that told me you got this artwork from favor.com or one of those websites or whatever?
It's stolen. Oh.
No, it's not. He paid for it, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a commission. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then it's good. That's good. It's a nice cover. It's a nice cover. I would have been upset if it wasn't like made by them or commissioned, because that's a good cover. I don't know what it is.
I don't remember exactly what Riba told me, but I did listen to you.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a puppet thing going on. But I remember Riba saying that, I think the artwork's better than the music, and I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I
I'm
was like,
not gonna
maybe
say anything.
no, I was gonna say that's a great way to kind of analyze your own music. You're like, okay, get some really good artwork before I even start the song, and then build a song to make it match the artwork. That's such a weird way to work.
Ultimate clickbait. Okay, I think we should move on. Okay, we got to move on.
Yeah, good job, Riba. Thanks for submitting.
All right. Our next submission is going to be Ruined Us by Chika M. Have fun.
Goddamn, could've told me what you thinking. Holy grail, if this shoe fits, yeah, why replace it? But you stuffed it in the closet, cover it up like the shoe meant nothing. That is what you call love. Then keep it locked in the dust, try to replace our broken trust. Where does our love go? Man, goddamn, could've left it alone. Cause now, there's home. Goddamn, cause now you ruined us. Cause now you ruined us. Goddamn, could've told me what you thinking. Holy grail, if this shoe fits, yeah, why replace it? But you stuffed it in the closet, cover it up like the shoe meant nothing. That is what you call love. Then keep it locked in the dust, try to replace our broken trust. Where does our love go? Man, goddamn, could've left it alone. Cause now there's home. Goddamn, cause now you ruined us. Cause now you ruined us.
All right, so that was Ruined Us by Chika M, and I am now going to read the longest message we've ever received on the feedback strip, and I'm going to read all of it. Chika even added lyrics at the end. I don't think I'm going to read those. I don't know. We'll see. So here's Chika's message. It is very long. So I made this song specifically for Blake at first, a producer on here, but like it started to sound like MGK, I don't know who that is, and I sent it to one of the producers / artists to 177, Radio You're Not Muted, and they loved it so much. And there's this guy named Dustin. He ends up making the entire guitar electric solo, and it was awesome. So we stayed up till 10:30, I don't know whether that's AM or PM, getting the rough scratch, and we just fell in love with the track because of how it was going. I'm crazy happy of how it turned out. Thank you, Brendan, from Seasonal 77. This was made in only 4 hours. Wow. I know it's rock pop and out of my business, but it was a lot of fun, and it just shows me that I don't only have to stick with pop / dark pop. Ruin Us, produced by 7th Seasonal, mixed by 7th Seasonal, mastered by 7th Seasonal, sang by Brandon, written and demo by Chika M. Verse, I'm not gonna read the lyrics because we heard them, or we tried to hear them. Anyway, all right. So, what do you guys think after this very lengthy note? What did you think, Gelt?
I liked it, but I mean, I'm still kind of confused. So, Chika wrote the lyrics only, or you wrote the melody and everything too?
I believe it's like
It
one of the
sounds like
demos.
So you
So,
sent the
it
demo.
sounds like
and then-
the git. I think even the melody wasn't made by her.
Right.
Okay.
Like it says the guitar electric solo was made by
So it's
this
just
guy
the
named
yeah. I mean, we have Chika here. So Chika, what did you do? Did you write the lyrics
It's
only,
not-
or did you do more? Okay, so Chika wrote the
I wrote
melody
the
and
melody.
lyrics and so forth. What is so forth? We need to know this. We need to know
So
this specifically.
I mean, I'm gonna judge it on just the songwriting. Then I won't judge it on the overall mix, master, and stuff because unless
Yeah,
are they members
it's produced by Seven Seasonal, so
Okay.
we can give criticism to Seven Seasonal. I don't know what that is.
I mean, I
but-
will.
Me too.
It's all bad faith. I will.
Well, okay. Forgive me if I'm not recognizing all the members' names or whatever. If this is all members of MPA. Okay, now the songwriting was good. The melody and stuff was good. It's not really. I mean, it's not really rock pop. I guess you can call it rock. It's more like that emo trend of like emo rap more than anything. Almost like it's got the rock pop. I guess I've never heard anyone call it rock pop, but pop rock. Yeah, that makes sense. Rock and roll to me, I have such a different relationship with rock because I grew up playing actual like rock, in a band, rock bands with a drummer and everything. But so when it comes to anything produced like this, to me, it's a beat, it's electronic, some form, fashion. But yeah, genre bending everywhere. I would say definitely the vocal has made it sound like that modern emo rap, and there's a beat going on there. I would say just because you add guitar doesn't make it rock, but it definitely gives it that rock vibe. Guitar is coming back huge right now. I'm not going to say it coming back in those terms, but it's definitely trending. If y'all haven't noticed, the guitar is going to creep its way back into music all different ways. So it's nice to hear. But I recommend anyone learning how to play the guitar. Don't just get samples and everything. But it sounds like y'all did a really good job with it on this one. So good job on that. I would just say though, like the songwriting. I know you submitted something to the lyric competition. I did check it out, and I like that too. I think your songwriting is really good. If I'm going to focus on just like the lyrics, songwriting, and melody part of it, I'd say you did a great job. Now, and they did a good job kind of interpreting it into something that is passable. I think there's, and I think Radium's going to touch on it, but yeah, there's definitely. I think the vocalist could have been a little tighter. On the beat a little bit more and stuff like that. But in emo, even back in emo punk and emo rock, the vocalist wasn't always on the beat, which is kind of weird. Some of the best emo was like just off. Like think of bands like Thursday. I don't know, that's dating myself, but bands like Brand New and Thursday and stuff like that. Really weird vocals, but it worked. So in emo, it's borderline. But I still think it could have been a little tighter. And anyways, good job everyone that worked on this. And I think Chika, you know how I feel about your sound design. You do a really good job. So sound design, songwriting. So I'm reading something at the same time. Your songwriting is above average. So good job on that. All right, Blay, what do you think?
All right, yeah. Yeah, it's always nice to hear things where he's sort of like more in this role of like a writer or like a demo producer, I guess. Because like that's something like we said like seems like something you could like be really good at, and I think the lyrics you write, they're interesting and for the most part, and I think it works well. I guess the thing is, I was not too sure about the music itself. But I'm not gonna say too much about that because you didn't really have that much control, I guess. I don't know how exactly this was structured. But I'm just gonna say it sounded pretty empty. I think you did a pretty good job with the lyrics, and I mean you have interesting ideas. I just wish there was more change in the music. I wish there was like a proper, like, I guess it's called a B section or whatever. Oh dear. Pop theory, whatever, I don't know. Or like rock, I don't know. I wish there was more change, like just different harmony at some point. Of course, the melody was very. I wouldn't call it a melody, but I'm so sorry, Chika. No, it's it really works. It works for the style of music. It really does work. So to me personally, I want there to be more, but it's sort of like I told Kitsune earlier. There's a sort of bar you're aiming at, and with this you sort of reach it in terms of like what the melody does, I guess, for this style of music. But I think what this is definitely missing is sort of the arrangement. I think it's very empty. I think it needs a lot more work. It needs to fill in the gaps in terms of like the bass. I think I forgot if there are drums. I think there are drums there. I already forgot. They do nothing. This needs more interesting rhythm. This needs more interesting harmony. This needs more variation in the melody. This needs less processing on the guy's voice. Brandon needs less processing on the voice. It sounded weird in places. Mixing should be improved. Guitar solo was kind of nice, I think, but I didn't really realize where the solo really started and ended. I think it was just sort of improvising. I know you didn't do that, Chika, but you can maybe bring these points up so changes can be made. I think it needs a lot more work in those departments. I think you did a good job with the lyrics, even though I don't really know what exactly. I like that it's sort of left open for more interpretation. I think that's good. But yeah, I think you should talk with them and you should work. You should tell them to work more to maybe try and make the harmony more interesting, and try to have maybe add a second guitar. That's the thing. It's so basic that I'm forgetting everything that I listened to. I heard this twice today, and I'm not even sure right now if there are even drums on this. So this needs to be more interesting in all of these aspects, and re-record the vocals. Anyway, I'm gonna give this over to Radium. I think Radium's gonna have more to say about the vocals. Sorry, being very critical and direct with this, but that's because this wasn't the production stuff wasn't really by you. I think you did a good job with the lyrics. I think it's nice that you always. Honestly, this is impressive. You always find someone to work with. This is really, really good, and I think it's something a lot of people could actually learn from in the community, because they always like, oh, I don't get anyone to collab. Yet look at Chika, who's regularly submitting stuff with like huge amounts of people who've worked on it. So, you're finding people to work with. That's great. Keep building those connections.
Agree with you in a moment.
What?
Well, I'm about to disagree with you in a moment.
Hey, it's Fox. Hi, Fox.
You shouldn't. Before it gets taken in the wrong way, you shouldn't rely too much on other people. You should, learn how to do stuff yourself. But yeah, I think it's still good, and I think it still shows for other people who want to do this and to always say, "Oh, I'm never getting a singer or anything." You just need to look for people. That is the take I'm getting at. There is you can do it if you look for people. Not necessarily whether you always should, because in the case of this, I was very critical of the people you got. So, Radium.
I guess the thing is I'm fucked because I have so much to say, but so little time to actually write it down. So I guarantee I'm gonna ramble a lot. It's now my time to shine. Okay, I'm gonna start with my intro. It's weird. I'm in this weird situation where I don't want to give feedback to this because it's clearly not something that you made yourself, or at least you had barely any involvement outside of the idea and the lyrics. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I've reached a point where I don't shit and it works for you and it's more clearly go off, fly. But I am still a very bad person, so I'm absolutely dragged to filth everyone involved in that project.
Are you cutting out a bit, Radium? Maybe speak a bit closer to your microphone so you don't cut out.
It's probably my Wi-Fi. Sometimes it
Oh,
fucks
okay.
with me. If I cut them. So my dragging is split into now 4 parts: the vocals, the instrumental, the mixing and mastering, and collabing. So the vocals itself is split into 2 parts. Before we talk about the rapper himself, I'm going to talk about how he was mixed. Just I can barely hear him. What is he saying? How is he thinking? I don't know because I can barely hear him. Like I don't know who mix. There's only one person who mixed. Yeah. Wow. I hope you didn't pay him because you need your money back. Or it's my equipment that sucks. But I switched earphones and it's still the same result. I cannot hear the rapper. There's a big lack of editing on his voice itself, and it doesn't help because now switching to the rapper himself, he sounds so lifeless, especially since I'm skimming the lyrics. The lyrics are so fucking I'm sorry. They're super deep, but it sounds so lifeless. And I'm guessing maybe it's intentional, but like it needs a little bit of life, a little bit of editing, especially with that genre of rap. I know it's supposed to be very deep, dark, and honest, but there's still a need for something on the recording itself before you mix it back. Can you tell your rapper to rap using a metronome or something? Because sometimes that dude is not rhythm, and that's not helping. Like Iranian behind the melody or trying to rush the words, it's not helping. It's super distracting. So that's that. I dragged the vocals. The instrumental. It's a very forgettable instrumental. And it's saying something because it's rap. The focus, especially with that genre of rap, the focus isn't on the music, but on what you're saying. But even then, the song needs to be a little bit appealing. If someone tells you, I have no idea if there were drums on your track, it's because the instrumental was not up to par. And it wasn't. It was very repetitive. There needed to be some sort of change in the arrangement itself, especially the second verse, for example, should have removed, at the very least, should have removed the guitar. This already would have switched it up a little. Was there a second verse? I don't know. I'm so confused with that song. But I don't know, at some point there should have been a change to help us guide us through the song. But there wasn't any. It was very repetitive. And honestly, I don't recall the instrumental outside of the guitar loop. Like if there were other elements that were super forgettable. So, and also, I don't know, the mixing on the instrumental isn't the best either. So even that I can barely hear outside of the guitar. Mixing, mastering. So it goes without saying that I am not expert at all, but even I know when something isn't good. That mixing, mastering needs work. I don't know, maybe it's me, my equipment, but it doesn't sound good. Like if I compare it to the previous submissions we've had, yours sounds so the volume is very, very low. So it makes the song hard to hear and understand. And it's not very appealing because now I have to plug in my volume to hear the track. That is just I'm gonna summarize myself. Mixing, mastering, I think it needs work. If the others disagree, because clearly they have more equipment than me to really judge, but I feel like it needs a little bit of on the mixing and the mastering. Finally, my final rant, collaboration. And I'm putting a disclaimer. I am saying that collaborating with others is something that is wrong to do. But there is a balance and there is a limit. What's the balance? A collab means, at the very least, equal amount of work. A collab isn't here, do the job for me. That is asking for someone to do a service to you. That's not a collab. Now, I'm debating if I should mention this.
So that's a little Radium on Radium's shoulder saying, "Do it, do it."
There's legit there's like an angel and a devil. Don't do it. And the devil is like, do it. I think I'm gonna mention it. Something that I notice that you do all the time is that you delegate work so you don't have to do it yourself. It's incredibly lazy. And am I the only one who notices that it's a pattern every time you?
I thought she was doing that on purpose, like as a producer, but I don't know. I thought she was doing that on purpose, like. I don't know. I mean, I'm totally maybe reading it wrong, but I've taken it as like writing the song for another artist, basically. But which songwriters do all the time. Now, if
that's not what I'm mentioning.
Okay, all right.
What I'm mentioning is I don't know if maybe I'm the only person who remembers and notices, but there's always a pattern of every time you have a song that was made 75% by someone else, it's not good. Every single time. I'm keeping notes and I notice this but then you submit something that you made yourself and it's 1,000 times better. You see, this is what I like to call a sign. This is a message. Okay, this is someone calling you on your phone, but for some reason you keep sending it to voicemail and it's annoying. But as I said, I've reached the point, I don't care. But it is a lot. A collab isn't an excuse to stop doing work yourself because you either don't want to do it, don't want to try, or you think you can, and you don't want to try and doing it on your own. A collab is, first of all, a moment where everyone can learn from everyone. And it's a moment where there's the weight of the work is shared equally. It's not, I have lyrics, I have like a little loop. Here, take it. Do it for me, please. That is not a collab. And something that I notice is that people use the word collab with all say is, can you do all the work for me? And that grinds me so much. Fuck. Stop trying to get people to do work for you for free. Stop being lazy. Stop being scared. The best way to learn to be good at something is by doing it on your own. Yeah, I'm not saying don't do collabs. There has been collabs and are amazing. But because there were actual collabs, not excuses to do work at all. So to me, it's not a good thing that you always find a way to find people because it always sets you back. You don't find people for the good reasons, you find them so you don't have to do the work by yourself. And just a little note, and I'm finishing my drag and my roast by saying I'm not sure, given the quality of this track, that it's a good thing to flex that it took 4 hours to make. I mean, I'm not saying you cannot make good stuff under 4 hours, but actually the flex works because the work itself is good. So that was it for me.
You could hear the 4 hours.
Right. No, I mean, to both y'all's point, and I think it is neat to community-wise to talk to people and get involved. But yeah, I definitely side with. Anyway, I don't notice it as much because I'm not hanging out in the main chat. But yeah, you should not be asking people to do stuff for you. Now, I always, to Blae's point though, being always be able to talk to people and stuff. Yeah, and get people on board with your projects and stuff. I don't know how you're doing it, but I definitely like. Chika, you know that you're one of like the top members because of that reason. You know, and our community is small and humble at this point. We're not 34,000. We're a small, humble community, but that's what's cool about it.
Small, humble, and beautiful.
We're a small, humble collective of music producers that stick around. And Chika, you're a big reason. You know, people communicate, hang out, come back, and talk to us. So thanks for that, Chika. Awesome. But I would agree with what you said, Radium. Totally. I mean, as far as the mix and master could be better. Now, it's definitely don't want to go to like pristine levels of polishing because if it is emo rock and stuff like that and grunge and anything that's popular right now, it's all about that lo-fi. It's all about that weird off-kiltered mix.
This has nothing to do with the lo-fi.
Right, but I mean, I'm just saying, you don't want to polish it to the point where it's like it sounds like a major label release if it's meant to be more of a, you know, SoundCloud style rap song.
I mean, I agree, but I need to be able to hear what the rapper is saying.
Yeah, for sure. Like it needs turn the vocals up. So.
Spell open your SoundCloud.
All right. So
Dying.
how many we got left? We've already hit the.
All right. So we have 2 more submissions left. Now we sort of reached our limit, but we could go over because I guess we're back like in a long time. I don't know. It's up to you guys.
I mean, it's a special occasion, and I have nothing else to do.
How many did you say? I'm sorry. We have
2
Archestic left.
submissions. We have Archestic and fluidacid.
All right. So let's go ahead and do them. Probably be a little quicker though.
Yeah, let's do them. Let's do them.
All right.
Let's do it.
We'll beat them up. All right. Our next submission is going to be Enlightened by Archestic. Have fun. All right. So that was Enlightened or Enlightened Which one is it? Archestic. By Archestic. So I'm gonna read Archestic's note right now. Sorry, I'm back. I had a stroke. Don't worry, happens all the time. Okay. Now for real description. I learn how to write. Jeez. I wanted to practice one last time on my traditional sound, improve my skill, my way of making music, because next track I'm going to do something different. I have new ideas, new resources, and possibly new people to come up with a new piece that'll combine my skill and my creativity to the new house that has developed over the last year. All of that so you can finally say, damn, Archestic, that's new. but this wasn't that, yeah? All right. Okay,
No, this
so
was not.
sorry, already being mean. All right, so what did you guys think? What did you think, Geld?
Hold up, wait, Archestic.
Oh.
Did you misspell your own name?
Archestic misspell. Oh no, Archestic was me misspelling him because he infected me with his misspelling of his cover art.
Okay.
So enlightened, that's his mistake. Archestic, that's my mistake.
Archestic. Definitely glad to see you are submitting again. And if he really has some strokes, that's sorry to hear that. Now, you are definitely one of the better producers in the community. It seems like at some point you were either taught early on like the right things to do in this music, or you're just like, you know, got that little genius in you. You figured it out really quick. I don't know what it is, but you're really good. But so much it makes me think. I always wonder. I'm just like, okay, so like, you know, things I was taught early on, if I would have only known certain things and stuff like that, how quickly I would have learned. Now, not even talking about me, I'm talking about other producers in the community, like, might not even been producing, they've been producing longer than you, but they might be doing things the wrong way. There's no right and wrong, but at the same time, if you're not happy with your own mix and you're still getting negative feedback on your stuff, then you're doing something the wrong way, in a sense. So it's neat that you've got a lot of it figured out. I don't know how you go about writing your songs, but you definitely kind of got like a template or something going on, or you got like a good selection and a good ear for sounds. You know how to play an instrument, so you must know how to or put melody together, or you just have a really good ear for that. Not sure what it is. Not to say that some of these other producers don't have similar things, but you have to put it all together. It's got to be a complete package. You know, when you put all the stuff together, you get a more polished track. I used to give you a little bit more praise than I'm gonna give you today, because again, I think you even said it in your notes about how you even want to grow creatively and you want to try something new next time. I would definitely say you need to, because this is kind of not played out in a bad way, but it can ultimately get played out if you're just getting started in your career, but all your songs already sound like this. You need to kind of evolve. You need to go into something else. There is some new genres of kind of emerging, not really new genre, but I'm noticing some new trends popping up, and that's only going to get heavier as the 2020s and 20s go on. You know, out with the old, in with the new. Genres in decades are big. It's just that thing in artists' mind, the back of their mind. What decade and what genre are you going to be tied to? You know what I mean? It's like, what is your music really going to be classified as? You know, it's not something that you have to really think about because it just happens naturally, but subconsciously, I think artists at this day and age, we always kind of look back and just kind of like, okay, that's 90s music, that's the teens, that's like, okay, that's so 2017, that's so 2018. People get tired of things, and it's like they move on. And I listen to podcasts relentlessly, and all the top producers are talking about how, since festivals are dead because of COVID and everything, that everyone's trying something different right now. It's time for experimenting. It's time for chiller stuff. Not saying that it has to be chill music. It can still be upbeat, but it has to be like not designed necessarily for the stage, the festival. But good news is festivals will return. but I think things are going to be a little different. I think there's a lot of room for experimenting right now and trying something a little different. I think bass house is still rising, so it's something to get into. It's not necessarily rising, but it's still very trendy. And then of course, drum and bass is making a move. And then over in the States, finally, and guitar, like I said, doing guitar just right in your music is a great way to kind of move electronic music forward. But you got to do it just right. So that was many things you could try. Now with this song in particular, I just think there was one big part that was lacking to me. Like the song was great, it was neat. I just don't think it's your best work. Maybe I'm just not even really comparing it with your stuff. Maybe just I don't think it's as good as it could potentially be. Trust me, if you were to pitch this to a label, they wouldn't care. Did you know record labels? They don't always look for the perfect mix and master. A good record label is able to notice a good song and they'll mix and master it themselves. They're looking for the artist now, so it's good enough to pitch to labels. But I think the label would ultimately take this song and make it tighter, brighter, louder, more punchy, more bassy, more full, just a more pristine mix. Is so competitive in that genre. Like it's so too perfect. And I think it could have been a little bit. And there was like this little break build up bridge thing was a little lacking to me, a little boring. It was like something about to happen, and then it's kind of slowly built back up into the song. But great. I think it's one of the best submissions we definitely had today. Or it's my favorite submission. I think it's like I said, you're one of the best artists in the community. Good job. I'm excited to hear what you're going to do though with this new direction or new style or merging your style, or whatever, with adapting it. Like what Radio mentioned earlier, you got to evolve creatively, and I think you consciously making that decision to evolve creatively and work in a different way is exciting, and I'm excited to hear it. I just say, keep all your production techniques and kind of go with what works, but then to try new things. All right. Good job. Thanks for submitting, and I'll pass it over to Blae.
Oh yeah, right, that's me. So basically, yes. Hi.
Hello.
So sorry. Yeah. Enlightened. I think, yeah, I think your mixing is, like Elt said, I think you said that your mixing is fine. Your production stuff, yeah. I guess it boils down to what I said way earlier, where it's like, there's a point where you just sort of reach the bar that you've set yourself, that you look up to, like with other like stuff that's being produced, and you sort of just reach it. Now I believe that bar is super, super low, and it's super easy to pass, so, you could do that. Or you just keep doing that. To me, this is super basic. I even recognize that one vocal sample thing, and when I recognize stuff like that, it's really overused. Like, really, really overused. Yeah, I said everything you need to know today, and in every single other stream, basically. It's... technical stuff is fine, I guess. I'd have to actually check, but I think it's just at this point where it's like, yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is I just wish you'd just actually do something different. Now you say you're going to. Well, we'll see about that. I'm excited for change, but I'm a bit worried that it may not be so much different from this, or may go in a different direction, which is then in that space still just the same of what we know. Yeah, I just think it's always sad because I feel like with you it's a bit like you're sort of getting stuck a bit. I don't know if you'd agree with that. I think you sort of do, probably, based on what you're saying yourself, with, being worried about developing more and, creating new stuff. And I hope it's new. Well, see, let's just say what I'm going to say to this. What I'm going to say to this is, what I'm going to say to this is, it's the old stuff. It's the old stuff. I'm not gonna say it's shit or anything. It's if you wanna reach that, which so many people have with this sort of music, you have reached it. And I mean that's if that's your goal, then that's great. I hope you have a greater goal than that, and I think you have, and I'm excited for that. So I'm sort of ignoring that, like not to like be mean or anything. I think it might do well on SoundCloud. I don't know. It might if you change the typo maybe. Um, but yeah, move on. Do new stuff. Do new stuff. I want to hear the new stuff you do. I'm excited for that. I hope it's actually new. I hope it's actually something else. Um, yeah, I'm excited for the new stuff. I'm excited for the new stuff. This makes me excited for the new stuff because we're moving on. You're moving on. I think that's great.
Nice.
Do more. Do great things. Set the bar way high. Set it way high. I think that's something I learned when I started with. I used to play piano and stuff. Did stuff there, and then went into got FL Studio. I actually started with Samplitude. Samplitude was a thing. And then went to got FL. Started doing electronic stuff, and it sort of started experimenting with electronic sounds and stuff, which is something I didn't work with. I mean, from the beginning, I used to write really long melodies, really long and intricate melodies. I think that's the main thing I'm missing with what you're doing and with what so many other people are doing is actual long melodies that tell a story. I think that's always missing with this sort of music, and that's something that even with like a more basic bass, you could already gain so much with that, But then if you also go into more interesting harmony and harmonic progressions and stuff like that, chord progressions and stuff like that, and actually like interesting rhythmic stuff, then it could be really interesting. I just think it's not being pushed far enough. It's so safe. It's also, it's just what it is. It's. I could see this play in some live stream for some corporate stream about some announcement of whatever, some new smartwatch. Like they go on a short break, and we'll see you right back, and then you have this sort of thing playing to seem young and enlightened, but it's. That's where I sort of see this stuff, like all of this stuff. That's sort of
commercial.
That's sort of where it went.
Commercial.
That's where it went, and now it's time to move on. This era is past, in my opinion, at least. Do something new.
Yeah, I'm excited for yours music just as much as I'm excited every Friday for Spotify to like release new music, because I am looking for that every Friday. Like, is there going to be something pushing it forward? And it's hard to pick up on at first, but you look back after 3, 4, 5 years and you notice a trend, and you want to be riding that wave. Don't want to be like copying it 5 years too late. So you basically have to be the one pioneering it. You have to go where no one else has gone before and have to kind of like be the first. And you realize you might not be the actual first, but you're riding this trend that you're amongst the first of the people to do it. Among the first people, like kind of like try new things in that realm, Anyways, Radium, what did you think?
I'll keep my feedback short. I'll start by saying that I liked your track. It's not your best track when you compare it to previous ones, but I'm not gonna hold it above your head. It's a while since we last saw it. And it's still very nice, I really like listening to it. It's still a bop. It's a basic bop, but it's a. But I'm more excited to see what your other work is like, especially since that's what you to change creatively. And I'm also happy that you're deciding to expand creativity what you do. And it's something that a lot of people try to do better, and that's. And I feel like not everyone has this light bulb in their head that says to do something. But other people settle what works. So it's a great thing that you're doing, and I'm excited to see it's what is in store for Archestic. By the way, I don't know why, but you should keep the type funny.
Like it just is written wrong from the picture, like even on Spotify. Yeah. Cool.
So that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. See, I always do a summary rating because it's just more natural that way. I don't try to do. All right. So, anyways, great job. I'll say the same thing, everyone. Thanks for submitting. This has been cool. We got one more. Let's go ahead
one
and
more.
listen to it.
Our final submission for today is going to be Dust Devil by fluidacid. Have fun.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
All right, so that was Dust Devil by fluidacid. All right, fluidacid didn't leave us a note, so we're going to go right into the feedback. All right, so what did you guys think? What did you think, Guild?
Dust Devil fluidacid. I mean, I would agree. I mean, you just said it before we came back live, but I would definitely agree that this is refreshing, but I wouldn't say that even in comparison to its own genre, it also suffers from a lot of the same mistakes. I mean, it's like it's refreshing to hear guitar and something different, and you get so much tone, and that's what I mean by like you're almost forgiven of the bad mix, and you're like forgiving all that stuff because it's just neat to hear something different, or it's just nice to hear guitar because guitar sounds nice. It's a neat instrument. And different cabinets are very muffled and stuff like that. So hear guitar by itself is a really nice tone. Now, as far as a mix for a song, this is, it seemed like this was very, very rough mix for sure, and not a lot of clarity in the guitar. I enjoyed the texture. I enjoyed the tone. The tone was actually nice. I just think there wasn't enough attack on the notes or something, or wasn't enough clarity, like in like differentiating like the lead versus the rhythm kind of thing going on. Like the different parts, but I actually liked it. I like more like experimental kind of stuff like this. I think it has a place. This to me, unless it's a full band, like that's what I was trying to say earlier too. I think there's some rules here and there. Like at least when you're talking, like if you're gonna reperform a song like this, you don't DJ it, you play it. And if it's a one-man band, how do you do that? And so there's just different things to be said about it. Now, I don't know exactly how this was done. If this was a band and it was recorded live and it's a full band, then forgive me. But I'm thinking this is like a multi-track, one person tracking each part and laying it down. So you kind of, I don't know. It's a weird way to record rock music to me. And then think of how it's going to be reperformed. So I think this is more of it's kind of like an idea, kind of like a garage jam almost kind of thing, kind of like a riff or an idea, but on rock albums, you'll find a lot of really short, weird tracks that aren't complete, but they're meant to be there. They're kind of fillers, but they're also an expression, because the problem with electronic music, it is so formulaic. It doesn't have to be, but it is so formulaic. People think it has to fit that mold, but music is just music. You could do anything you want. There is no rules. And in rock music, you have that freedom is a little bit more there. It's expected for you to try weird timings and to go off to an extra bridge or a pre-chorus or a weird just one straight. You got that freedom a little bit more in rock music or anything like this, I think. So it's hard to judge it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm wrong. I just want to make sure everyone that gives other people feedback really gives it through that genre and like puts themselves in the shoes of that genre and say, okay, what if I did like this genre and this is all I listen to? What's wrong with it? Because I mean, there's something to be said about something you don't listen to and then try to give something, because in that genre there's things that the people that are fans of it are paying attention to, and they're paying tribute, and they're things that people pay tribute to, or sounds that have come back from the past but they reinterpret it, or a better mix than his competitor, or these different things you're like paying attention to that someone that doesn't listen to that genre is not going to pick up on. And they're just gonna be like, I don't like this. It's this, and this. Still might be a bad song, but still not recognizing the things that you did well, that you did right. So in rock music and things like this, it's so much about the guitar tone, and of course, I would say, of course, just like any storytelling in the song and stuff. But I think this kind of lacked it. This is more just like an idea. The mix was a little rough, but I liked it. I just enjoyed listening to it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like this, what I'm trying to say is it's enjoyable to actually listen to. It was refreshing. But if I was to like say, okay, now let's finish this song, what's wrong with this song and what does it need to be do to be on your next big hit or on the album, I think it needs a lot of work. I think it needs to be taken somewhere and finished off in a different direction. But lyrics, something like that. But I don't know. I'm a fan of a guitar and the guitar player myself and everything. I just enjoyed listening to it. So thanks for sharing it. And let's see what Blaehubb thought about it.
And I forgot to unmute my mic. Yes, it's great to be back. Yeah, no, this was really refreshing to me. In the midst of all the EDM stuff. Yeah, so I like this. I think I don't generally listen to this style of music. I have nothing against the style of music. I think the mix does need a lot of work. I like the idea. I wouldn't say it is. I think within that genre, there's probably quite a bit like this. So I couldn't say that I don't hear this sort of stuff too often. I think there's probably stuff you could do like we said to the others today. Or I'd personally wish to always have more and more variety in anything there is usually. I think there's many more interesting things you could do with everything. I think with this, the drums were probably lacking behind the most. I like really interesting drum solos and stuff like that. I think what would be interesting for this style of music would be to look into jazz and rhythmic patterns in jazz. I think that would be really interesting. Also, what I'd like to hear with this style of music would be brass instruments. I don't think there's so much like this. If you want to get into that, I think that would be really interesting. I'm just throwing out ideas, inspiration, stuff like that. I think that would be interesting. That would be interesting. So the mixing needs improvement. It just didn't feel dirty enough. It felt like there was very little mixing going on, especially with the drums. I think this is the case where I'd be all for like gray compressors and stuff, and like really like pushing distortion in certain places and stuff like that. I just didn't feel it didn't feel bad enough. It didn't feel bad enough. Like it's there, the style is there. It just didn't feel bad enough. There was definitely something missing like that. I think there's definitely things to improve. I'd love to hear something with those bits of inspiration I gave. I don't know if that's anything you're interested in. I think it would be interesting. I think it would be different. This does feel like something that sort of blends in within this sort of genre. So probably relatively similar to other stuff. So again, with any music like that, I'd always like to push things beyond. You don't always have to do that. But I think there's always with these new genres, and I'm calling this a new genre because there's much older music. I think there could a lot be learned from old music. So this too would be interesting with more variety in harmony and more variety in, well, like I said, especially with this, I think really having really crazy rhythms and different timing and all that could be super interesting. I'd love to hear something like that. I'd love to hear this sort of arrangement with brass, like added brass on top of the guitars and the drums and everything, mixed in super dirty and punchy. That's what I mean. It's missing. It's lacking punch.
Right. Just so many directions you could take.
Yeah.
Like,
It's called Dust Devil. It needs to sound dirty. It needs to sound...
Yeah, I would say if it
I love the cover art is so great. Is that... I don't know about that. Is that like painted? Is that commissioned, or is it like taken from somewhere? I'd be so upset if that's taken from somewhere, because that's a really good cover.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I would agree. And so does TD Nelson in the chat. I would definitely, this style benefits from sounding a little grungier and a little dirtier, and there's ways to do that and stay polished at the same time. Like, you don't just distort it and think it's going to be good. You got to distort it just right. You got to saturators. Just really work with some proper headphones and proper monitors and really really work with it. But you can actually make it sound dirty and not be actually damaging speakers or sounding too dirty or muddy. It just needs more grit, more grunge. Pinched harmonics and stuff in there would be really neat too. So just kind of like play with, like, experiment with the guitar. It's such an amazing versatile instrument. And then when you amp it up with electronics and distortion, it just, you're in the realm of sound design at that point. And you can really design some really unique, neat tones, and then driving the feedback just right, and like running the filters with the right notches and boosts and stuff. You can really make them talk and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. Every guitar tone is so subjective, and it really there's just so many things you could do with the guitar. But yeah, I think this would also benefit from a brighter or more clear mix, but with some dirt. Were you done, Blae? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to give it over to Radium.
All right.
Okay, well, my feedback is going to be very short. It's not, rock is not something that I listen to, and it's not something that I know properly, but that was actually nice to listen to. It just didn't feel natural, but I don't think it's fault. I think it's just you're doing what you can with what you have. But it does feel very polished, and it doesn't push forwards the rawness that's necessary in rock. And I have no idea how you can fix that. But the others did bring up some very, very good. So I really like take notes of that and implement it on your next track. But overall, it was very nice too. And actually, rock isn't something that we have a lot. So it's really nice.
It's really refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think rock music in some form or fashion is gonna kind of like there's gonna be a new genre people call rock, and of course, all the elitists are gonna say that's not rock music. But the thing is about that is rock and roll bands traditionally did not produce their own music. They didn't record their own music. You wrote the songs, you played the songs in your garage, you practiced them over and over and over again. You went to the studio and they recorded you, they produced you. So you're not going to find a lot of rock people in our things where music production. Those rock people, traditional rock guys, are still basically just writing the music. Now everyone has little Pro Tools boxes and stuff in their room, and it's getting more and more common, of course. But traditionally, rock bands are not also producers in that same sense. The producer term, stolen by music, by hip hop and electronic guys or whatever, and then now adapted as a music producer, is not the traditional term for music production. But anyway, or at least not the way you went about writing songs, and also making sure you knew how to mix and master it, which is like you're learning two things at the same time with a lot of these people getting into this. But it would be neat to see a lot more rock, and then actual bands come into the community, like the band, the whole band's there. You know, you got the bass player, the guitar player, the drummer, the singer, and they're all in Amino. Yeah, that'd be cool. Or Discord. So yeah, that would be neat. So that was it. That was all of them. I would also just mentioning Discord real quick. I would say let's Discord, the way I see it, and I really want to stress this, is I know a lot of more people use Discord. I meet a lot of people in my other platforms and stuff, and everyone has a Discord. No one has an Amino, and we really want to grow the community. We know, again, we're small and humble, collective and stuff, yada yada yada, but we still want to be bringing in new people, and our Amino people have not been coming in the same. So I want to invite people to our Discord. So I'm just saying, be as our Discord, Amino, hang out on a Discord. I know some people do, but if you haven't already, join the Discord.
Yeah, Discord is great.
Yeah, it's really good. I love it, and I really want to make that more not the main place of Amino, because we are an Amino community, but I want to make it feel like if Amino, if the community was like a castle, I don't know, a building. Discord is like one big side of the room, and then like Amino is like another big room in the building. You know, so it's one big building. Our community is, and you can enter the community or whatever and hang out there. But you can go to the Discord, you can go to the Amino. But I want to really, so we can invite people into the Discord side, and then they can join the Amino side, so they don't have to come into Amino first. I really want to grow the community, and I'm thinking Discord is going to be one of the better ways we can do that. So anyways, just quick note, please, if you haven't already, join our Discord, and and hang out. We do like I think on Tuesdays we still are doing. I haven't been able to make it, but Tuesday we're doing like fun people are playing Among Us, playing games together. People you can music produce and share your screen on there. You can watch videos together and stuff like that. So if you don't already know, I'm sure most people know what Discord is. So please join the Discord. And then, okay, real quick, just lyric competition going on. There's a featured post. Let's submit some lyrics. I know we got some great lyricists in the community posting their stuff all the time. And then producer, if you're one of the 4 finalists in the producer battle, that Sunday's the last day to get me your 4th track if you want. So, all right. Thanks, Blae, for bringing this back and doing all the hard work and getting this to look good and troubleshooting all the problems you had. And
yeah, so glad to be back.
For sure. That was definitely started missing it. And then and then thanks, Radium, for being here. We will see y'all back in the community, and we'll be back next Friday. If you want to get on the submission for Feedback Stream 29, just look for the featured post in the community. I'll get that posted ASAP. Submit your track and come back next Friday for our next feedback stream. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.